Rachel Gudgel is one of those names you should not know. She's the director of the Legislative Education Study Committee, a powerful year-round body that has huge influence over the biggest chunk of New Mexico's budget every year. After using terms like powwow and smoke signals, despite apparent pushback from staff, Ms. Gudgel allegedly said, quote, "It's not like making beaded sandals is going to improve student outcomes," end quote, while at a meeting on the Jicarilla Apache Nation. That prompted loud complaints, a personnel investigation, and an ongoing debate about whether that kind of behavior meant she could keep her job, which she has. Ms. Gudgel last week apologized for, in her words, insulting and harmful comments she made. Her hope is to move forward with her job, and by a recent vote, the committee deadlocked on her dismissal. But even after that apology went out, Native leaders held a news conference to underscore the hurt attached to that kind of thinking, including powerful remarks from Wilhelmina Yazzie, the woman who was part of the Yazzie Martinez lawsuit.
Children are starved of equal opportunity in our education system. I experienced it. Marcia, my sister, experienced it. All parents experienced it, and we're still experiencing that. So, and then even ever more so with the pandemic, everything just came about. So it's there, we see it. And most of all, culturally relevant education is critical right now. We've been talking about that. We've been, asking to implement that into our public school system. And especially now with Ms. Gudgel making these disparaging remarks against our children, that is very heartbreaking, especially for someone in high power to really reflect on our children in that way. To make fun of my children, our children, that's very heartbreaking. As a parent, as a mother, you want the best for your children. I don't ever want anyone to make fun of my children or even myself because of where I come from, who I am, what I believe, and such. And nobody should ever go through that, especially our children. As a mother, we're there to help them and provide for them and lead them and set them on the path of life of enough in my Navajo way. So that's why as a mother here, with this whole Ms. Gudgel, yes, she made an apology, but I want her to make that an apology into action, for her to come back and make things right in our way in Navajo. We have that Hojon balance, my harmony. We want that balance back for our children. Right now, that balance is off because we have people in high power that aren't taking my children, our children seriously. And right now, we want our children to be equal, to looked upon equally, to be included, to be viewed holistically. As all these the other leaders and representatives have spoke, it's more than just being a human being. It's the universe, everything around us. We're spiritual people, and that's how we view our children. Our children are spiritual from the time they're conceived until the time they go on their own into adulthood. And with that, we need action.
Eric, let me ask you something. Hearing that, is it too late for apologies? Does the LESC just need to say there's been too much damage here?
I respect the fact that she apologized, and it sounded like a pretty sincere apology. But look, this is a really powerful position. As you said in the intro, this is half of the state budget. We have an unpaid part-time legislature. So senior staff like this have enormous influence. And this is education. This is the group that tries to make the best decisions for our education policy for kids, including Native kids. And as we know, the Yazzie lawsuit and a lot of the challenges we've had in Native communities for Native kids are among the toughest in the state, and we really tried to double down to solve some of those problems. So to have, I think, careless, whether she thought they were harmless or not, or not in sort of malicious, but I think they have real consequences. And I think it's a reminder for all of us, we have to be really careful about how we characterize, I've heard people use like, let's have a powwow, right?
Right.
And think it's harmless. And in certain situations, I've had, Native colleagues say, well, that's not appropriate, which is good because we all need to be corrected on behavior. But the comment about the sandals, I think, and the context in which it was made, I think really just begs the question, does she understand her position and the power and the leadership that's required, given that it's such an important part of our state government, and also just respecting the voices. Some pretty well-regarded, Regis Pecos, who was a longtime chief of staff to the speaker and is a very well-respected Native leader nationally,
Right.
Resigned from the committee over it, and I respect his decision. So I think it's pretty serious, and I hope they'll take some pretty decisive actions and not try to kick it down the road.
Hey, Tom, lawmakers used taxpayer funding to investigate Ms. Gudgel, and Milan Simonich over at the New Mexican has been really after this story. He was very critical of Senator Bill Sol's choice to block 21 non-voting advisory members, legislators, mind you, from hearing the results of that investigation. My question, was that a mistake on his part? Should the investigation be public?
Well, remember, first and foremost, this is a personnel issue. Rachel Gudgel and she and I have actually had the opportunity to work together when we were both working at the legislative through legislative council services. Her plight right now is truly a personnel from her perspective. I think Miss Yazzie, definitely her remarks very heartfelt, very personal as far as reflecting the hurt that has been inflicted by Rachel Gudgel's comments. And Rachel has apologized, and that was something that was 2 years ago. And during that time, Rachel is really, I think, taking that time to, really explore a little bit more about the background of Native American communities, visiting Pueblos and also, one of the reservations, just to kind of on her own time to learn more about the culture. And for that, I think she needs to be applauded, but doesn't excuse at all the very hurtful comments that she's held herself accountable for.
Laura, Ms. Gudgel, as Tom mentioned, has apologized, and she called the experience humbling. She's spoken to some Native leaders in person. That has to mean something. Can something good come out of this, or should she be given a short leash to go forward and try to use the experience to focus, on better serving Native communities? Can something be spun out of this that's better for everybody?
Well, certainly there's always a possibility of that. I think that she could definitely grow into a much better person personally through the kind of efforts that it sounds like Tom mentioned that she's going through. But I agree with Tom, it doesn't excuse the behavior. And I do think that, Senator Soles has some responsibility here as well. It's important to remember that there is a personnel aspect to this, right? There's employment matters, employment issues. So some things do need to be kept confidential, but at the same time, you want as much transparency as possible in this, because if you're not being transparent, if the public or even members of the committee feel like they're being left out, there's always going to be the question: Are you trying to protect somebody unreasonably so? And so I think that it's important that people listen to the Native voices, and I think a lot of Native voices right now, especially with that press conference that was held a few days ago, it's important to recognize that they're asking for her removal. If she resigned, I think it would certainly also be well received. But there has to be action. There has to be consequences to her actions. And this is an opportunity, I think, for the legislature to send a signal about how important it is for people to be above board here, and that words do matter.
Right.
And it's just, you can't just sort of excuse this sort of thing.
That's right. Eric, quick question, getting a little tight on time here, but what do you make of the 5-5 vote, the tie vote? There's a cynical part of me that says, well, that's how you get someone back into a position and everyone's hands are clean, just make a tie vote. Was there a lack of leadership here ending up with that tie vote? What's your sense of it?
Well, my understanding of how the votes came down, it was definitely a bipartisan vote. So this might be a situation where bipartisanship did not lead to the best decision, right? I think to both Tom and Laura's point, I think ultimately, is that the best way to make a personnel decision, right? I think I do think there should be a much more sort of direct mechanism to to discipline in this case, and to leave it to some politics, because there were a lot of politics involved in this decision. I think it's not the best way to resolve this. So I don't think it was the best way to decide whether she could stay or go. I think there should be a much more streamlined process for that.
Hey, Tom, real quick, in about 10 seconds, it almost feels like this is the PRC we've dealt with for so many years. Aren't people just sort of tired of this at this point?
I think the PRC is its old, the PRC is getting fixed. LSC, I think this is a very big, significant blip in the radar. But, the LSC has always been a very integrity-based organization, and I think that the elected officials will keep it that way.
There you go. We're up against the clock this week with a jam-packed show, but we appreciate all of you, our panelists, for your thoughts this week, and we'll see you again soon. Final thoughts from me in a moment.